welcome everybody, and welcome to Knight. This is my game that I have made. Woo! So it is available on DriveThruRPG or Indie Press Revolution, or in really cool game stores, but probably not most game stores because it's just a tiny little production. And I hope that everyone, if you're having a look at this, will at least have a look at what it's got to go. We have amazing people here today. My name is Mark. I run the company of Armored Games. You can find me at www.armoredgames.com if you happen to be from the distant past and actually go on websites. You could also, if you're from the distant past, you could go onto Facebook and find Armored Gaming there, I suppose.
The government knows me as Lee, but all of my friends call me Vela or Vel. My pronouns are it's. I run a bunch of events and things through ARC, but if you want to see the stuff that I make and do, I've recently released a short story that you should all go check out, by the way. Just Google Whimsy and Metaphor. I'm Whimsy and Metaphor on any socials that I actually interact with.
Hello. I'm Tully, Elastomore Online, Elastome RPGs when I write. Relatively new to all of this, but hopefully my first game, Precognitions, will be out next couple of months, God willing.
I see the future, and it's definitely going to work. Awesome, and probably needs no introduction, the amazing Dael.
Oh, I definitely need an introduction. Hi, I'm Dael Kingsmill. I make YouTube videos, all sorts of geeky stuff, but a lot of TTRPG stuff, particularly over on Monarch's Factory. I wasn't as wise as Vel. I did not consolidate my username across platforms. So really, Dael Kingsmill's the way to go. You'll find me. I'm out there.
Very briefly, Knight is a game in the style of King Arthur, where you play Arthurian-style knights like Sir Lancelot, except we make our own Avalon and our own kingdom. So we're not actually in the world of King Arthur's Britain or anything like that, but we are very heavily informed by those themes. So let's get straight into the game, and let's do something interesting straight away. We're going to begin the game straight up, and we're going to actually do character creation after the initial parts of the game. So we're going to roll straight into this game. So this is the situation. Recently, the High Queen, Rhiannon PenLlew, was betrayed by her cousin, Bycord, now known as the Betrayer, obviously, and was killed in battle. You were noble knights under the High Queen Rhiannon and were captured and imprisoned in the great battle and have been thrown into a nasty, horrible oubliette, which is a pit in the ground with a big sort of cage top, and you currently await your fate in Caemlyn, the great castle now owned by Bycord the Betrayer. You are all noble knights. You at least have once had land, but now you have little. You have only just been thrown into the oubliette. Your arms, armor, and horses are still being moved around in the courtyard of the castle that you are sitting in, because Avalon is endlessly raining. A light mist of rain is making everything here in the oubliette just slightly wet and uncomfortable. When you hear a great roar coming from outside, and a clamor of men and women calling and crying for what is going on, and overhead you see a dragon through the cage on top of you. You see the wings of a blast of fire swoop over you, burning the top of the cage and melting the edge of it with its incandescent fire, and metal drips start raining down on each of you. So that is where we are, and let's get started on a little bit of character creation. The way that this game works is that I'm just going to ask everybody what happens, what you do, what your intention is more than anything else. If we need to roll dice, that's when we roll dice, and then we actually describe what happens. So you guys are going to be very much also storytellers in what goes on here. So first up, not even worrying too much about who you are, who's the first person who's going to act and do something here?
You bet I am. I'm getting up. I'm trying to bust through that grid over top of the oubliette. I want to get out of here.
We don't know your knight's name yet, but Dael, you have 3 attributes. They are, and everyone will know this, they are vigor, prowess, and wit. Please, as a big, strong person who's rattling that cage, please place 12 in your vigor, as you are doubtlessly a strong person.
Yay!
So, of the 2 others here, tell me, who is looking at the other knights, Vel and Tully? Who do you think is the weakest of the 2 of you, and who is the strongest? Though obviously Dael is the strongest of all of the knights.
I don't think strength is my strongest attribute.
Okay, then please put an 8 in your vigor, and Vel, you would have a 10 in your vigor. Excellent. So, Dael, this is what you... please roll me a d20. You're going to make a check. And that check is if it equals or is below your vigor of 12, then you do this and you'll bend down these cage doors to be able to escape just in time. And if it goes over, then you're going to suffer some nasty consequence of some sort. Okay.
Now I'm nervous. It's a 10.
Beautiful. So, without consequence, please describe this epic feat of strength.
I think that I'm like climbing up the rocks at the side, sort of jamming one hand in there so that I can go one-handed, grab the metal and start prying it away from the edge of the hole.
While it is red hot, you manage to find one of the cooler pieces of it, and using your body weight and physical force, you bend down those cage bars, creating almost like a ladder available here for everyone to get up. As the three of you surge to the top, you find yourselves in the castle of Cainlan. You are in the forecourt, and at the center of it is this oubliette where people can look down at and laugh at the people down in the pit below, which just was you for a moment. And around you is a chaos of battle. There are men-at-arms, Bicourt's men-at-arms grabbing spears and swords. Very few people are paying any attention to you. Over on one side is the stables. You even see your own horses and things like that. And again, the dragon takes another pass over and it bursts flame on the central keep, and you see men burning and dying up there through the keep. Even as that happens, we see one last thing. Racing out from inside the keep is someone's cousin. Whose cousin is it?
I'll take the cousin.
Tully, your cousin holding a tiny little baby, and this little baby here is coming through, and they are looking behind them and holding this tiny baby. You hear like a clamor of men coming through saying, "Kill the child! It is the last of the PenLlew line!" As your cousin is racing towards the stables, trying to get on a horse, a spear takes them right in the back. What do you guys do?
I'm grabbing that child.
Okay, you race over, grab the child. Vel, what do you do?
I'm going to go and get my horse and my armor, and I'm going to give that to the child and the cousin so that they can disguise themselves as me and escape.
Okay.
Use my livery to get out in
Nice.
the confusion.
And Dael, what do you do?
I'm putting myself, even without arms or armor, I'm putting myself between Tully and the pursuers who are coming after the baby.
Unarmed and unarmored, you stand between the pursuers, half a dozen armed knights coming after them. Vela, you race to your horse. Tell me, what color and size is your horse? This is a proper war horse, by the way. It is still caparisoned with its shield. All of your arms and armor are still on board.
I'm seeing that very classic, like, chestnut brown, white triangle forehead, white fetlocks over the hooves. My livery is green and white, and I'm going to make sure that it's all properly in order, and give my cape or cloak, if I've got one, to cover the escaping cousin and child.
Your horse clip-clops over with and Tully, even as you're kneeling down and taking the child from the cousin, your cousin's hand holds up and says, "Knight, my kin, this is the last heir. All the rest of the PenLlew have been killed. Please, on our honor, we must protect this child."
I don't know how you managed to get a hold of him, but good work. I am proud of you.
"It's the girl." And at that, the knights start coming down, seeing you. It's a tiny little medieval door, like really squeezy, and you see them coming down one by one, the first one with a sword, Dael. And even as that scene passes, what do we do now? So the dragon is coming around again. There's the 6 men coming down the stairs. You are holding, your cousin is bleeding out their last, and Vela, you are grabbing your horse and bringing it over, covering child and the dying cousin.
Lift the cousin and child together onto the horse, tie them on as best I can, and whisper a quick ride swift to the horse and set it off on the least chaotic path through the confusion.
All right.
Hoping
You
they escape.
send it through the open gate. No one was expecting this castle. Tully, what do you do?
Oh, did you remove some of your gear from the horse beforehand? Because if not, I'd like to try and help you get them on, and then I'd grab some of your gear, like an axe for you, a polearm for you, just so we've all got something to protect ourselves.
It's on the horse, the caparisons, and my cloak, so my arms and armor are here, and we can use them.
Excellent. You're all knights, so you can't scratch yourself without picking up a weapon. So there's definitely enough weapons for everyone just on Vela's horse. So what weapon do you grab?
I'm definitely spear.
This is going to be the weapon that sort of defines your character to an extent, because it's the first one you grab. Bella, what do you grab?
I reckon, in the sort of haste to grab things, I've picked up just like a plain little hatchet. It's not the big battle axe or the war axe, it's the like firewood at camp hatchet.
Oh, it's
from
enough.
The equipment and things. I reckon that's what I've got.
Tully has a spear, and Dael, what gets tossed to you?
I think if you've got the spear, you've got the hatchet, I gotta have a sword. Keep it classic.
Excellent.
Do we give you the shield as well? Do you have like the very classic sword and shield?
I would love to use your shield. Take up your shield in this moment of dire risk.
You grab a shield and sword. So the next round is going to pass. So the knights come down. Dael, how do you fight them?
I'm gonna go for like a rugby tackle with the shield on the guy oncoming with the sword.
Nice. Tully, how are you going to deal with the guys basically fighting against Dael?
I'm going to be like in the back whenever there's like a gap. I'm moving through knowing that Dale's in front of me ready to hold them back at a distance.
This certainly sounds like a prowess or skill action. Please place 12 as your prowess. It was the sort of the ungainliest between Vela and Dael.
It might be me.
All right, you have 8 as your prowess, and Vela, you had 10 as your vigor before, didn't you?
I did indeed.
You cannot have another 10, so you can either have a 12, or you can either have it as a 12 or an 8. It is your choice.
I'm going to go with the 8, because I was about to say that my fighting thing is with this very small hatchet. I'm going to go for the gaps in the armor, so I reckon I'm leaning wit here, so if I take the 8 in prowess.
Excellent. So the 3 of you fight. Please make a check. Now, we have what's called an AN, an activity number. I'm going to say all of these knights here have an AN of 15. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to make a check. If you roll equal or below, you get no consequence. You will always be effective, by the way. So you're always basically successful in every action that you do. It just depends on whether the consequence is going to bite you back. Okay? So with that in mind, everyone's going to make a check, but you're also going to roll your effect dice, which is any of the other dice available there. Now, with that, you're all going to have a base of a D6, and if there's any other situations, backgrounds, or anything like that you think might be helpful here, then that dice number will increase. So up to a D8 or a D10 or a D12 eventually. First, Dael, do you think your situation or a particular background is going to show up here to help you, or are you just fighting because you're a good knight and you know how to do it?
I mean, if I am just fully shield bashing him, can I apply the fact that I'm just really strong?
Absolutely. Do you want to take a trait called really strong?
I do want to take a trait called really strong.
Okay,
it's a good name that I've come up with for that trait.
Nice.
Really strong.
Basically, traits are just a little bit about your character that will mechanically affect the game in some way. Does that make sense? What happens for you? A base of a D6, and because you're really strong, it'll now go up to D8. Okay,
Woo!
Tully, tell me about, so you're, like poke around. Is there anything here, are you particularly good at this, or is this just a thing you do because you're a good knight?
But when I made my coat of arms, it was like a sword, a wool pack, and a wing. And so in my mind, it's like the motto of that family was protectors of the soft and free. Something like that. Protect those who can't protect themselves. If I can apply just that kind of determination for protecting the child on the escape.
Okay, sure. Please have the trait defender or protector.
Perfect.
Vel, are you just fighting because you know fighting, or is this something you specially do?
I'm leaning into a very particular character here, so we're just going to roll with it. I reckon I started off as a hunter before I became a page.
Mm-hmm.
So I reckon I've got a little bit of that kind of the rat cunning of the hunter, shall we say.
Yep.
Going for me here to find these openings and things.
Beautiful. So please, your trait is hunter. So everybody here will have a bonus to their dice, so you'll all be rolling a D8. So everyone, please roll together a D20 and the D8. Tell me if you get a consequence or no consequence, and tell me the amount that your effect dice has.
I've never been so upset to see a nat 20.
Beautiful. I love that. Consequence.
Was it we were trying to roll over or under?
Equal or under on the D20, and as high as possible on the other dice. What did you get on your other dice, please, Dael?
3.
3. That's fine. Anne's now 12. Tully, consequence or no consequence, and how much did you get?
Rolled a 10 on the d20 and a 2 on the d8.
Well, if that's equaling your prowess, then that's fine, and a 2.
Yeah, literally exactly equaling.
Excellent. And Vel, how did you go?
I got an 8 and a 6. So yes, if I'm using wit, it's fine. If I'm using prowess, it's equal. So
You can fight with any of your attributes. It just depends on how you describe it.
yeah. So definitely on the wit then. So yes, no consequence and a 6.
So they have 4 remaining to them. Excellent. And the last thing is, so if Vel is the wittiest of all of you, so you'll have a 10, a 12, and an 8 in all 3 of your attributes. Your wit will be whatever that one hasn't yet been chosen as for your character creation there. Does that make sense? With that, you have reduced basically, imagine hit points. The whole encounter has 15 hit points. You have reduced 15 hit points down to 4. Dael, you're going to suffer a bit of a hit in return. Everybody has a trait called endurance, and you will have 8 endurance points. Please write that down. And Dael, I'm now going to hit it for 1 measly point of damage. Endurance does not necessarily represent physical harm. It represents setbacks, pushbacks, tiredness, fatigue, anything like that. You don't get physical injuries until endurance hits 0. You don't die necessarily, though you could, but when endurance hits 0, you've been defeated. Okay, so that's basically every rule in the game. With that in mind, you got hurt a little bit, and you did a fair whack of damage. Dael, please describe what you just did in our scene.
I think that the tackle broadly worked. I think the guy tumbles over my shield and onto the ground, but I do think that it's got a little bit of that. I'm not used to this shield. It's not mine. It's Vel's. So I get a little bit of that like twang that happens when you jar yourself with something metal. I think is what happened there. It just threw me off a little.
Excellent. And Tully.
So I think this is like the first time that we've worked together in a war together. And so I've kind of gotten used to the flow of your combat, just kind of darting around with my spear to like clean up around the edges. But over off to the side of the court, I noticed that there's like someone starting to set up a small group of archers, which we just don't have much defense against right now. So I have to like raise the spear and just launch it, like getting one of them through the chest and like putting them in a bit of disarray to at least break up their teamwork, buying us some more time.
Excellent. And Vel, what does your action look like?
Again, yeah, I think we're pretty used to like how we all work. So we've got probably me darting like in between and around. There's a moment as that combatant goes like over the shield and there's a pause, and I've just sort of woven through around to the back, raised the hatchet, brought it down like in between the elbow plates on someone's full plate armor, and then out of the way of their retaliatory swing.
Excellent. Back to my turn to describe the situation. The archers, like that, you see the first, like the captain of the archers. He's got like a Robin Hood hat with a feather up the top. You know, he had his, he's got his bow. He's taken a bead up on Tully over there, and just the spear. We just see the spear flying toward him, and he goes down. And then all of the other archers like and Dael, you have like crushed down on this first one. You get like jarred in the arm as you're going. You're physically like on top of this guy. A couple of other guys are like piling down, but it's too close, and there's just swords flashing in the dark. Even as Vela, one of them comes out, and you like chop that one down. There's a mess of wrestling, fighting warriors, some archers, the open gate, the horses just behind. They're trained battle steeds, so they're not going anywhere just yet. Your other horses are just behind. Where's the little infant, Tully?
I feel like they could have both made it to the gate by now.
Ah, yes. Excellent. So the cousin and the infant have ridden off to the gate. It's now your turn. What do you do? We have 4 AN remaining in the combat. When that hits 0, you have succeeded at the combat, and we finish.
I reckon we've got to finish this quickly, because if we're going to have a chance of following that horse, we're going to need to escape while it's still in sight. It's time to sort of, maybe even if we don't completely kill all of these knights, I'm going to try and hobble a couple of them so that they just can't follow us.
Just to be clear, the AN is the encounter. So whether you escape it or beat all of them, it's sort of how we define it. So you'll still be rolling effect against the number.
Oh, so. Actually, well, in that case, why don't I just, given that I'm behind them already because I've snuck out to deliver that blow, why don't I just go and release all the horses at them then?
I want to find a way to have the gate slam closed once we're out.
Excellent. And Dael, what is your intention?
Ooh, I feel like I've got all these guys on top of me. If I know my fellow knights as well as I think I do, and I know that Vel is going for releasing the horses, I'm going to, in order to try and get all these guys off me, whistle to summon my warhorse to just come and, like, bash through the crowd.
Excellent. So, now is when we roll the consequence and the effect die. So please roll the d20 and the effect die. Now, normally when I'm playing the game, I just let you guys do it and you'll just tell me how effective you think you are at that sort of stuff. So you're like, it's always a base of d6. If you've got a problem, then it might be down to a d4. If you've got a benefit, it'll be up to a d8. You just let me know what it is and we'll go with it from there.
I feel like I'm getting the hang of it. Why am I rolling so well on my d20? That's an 18.
Oh, you've trained it.
That's an 18 with an effectiveness of 2. I have to get another d20. This is...
Don't worry too much because I cannot roll over a 1 on consequences coming back to you. So that's fine.
Consequences are 15, so there's a consequence right there. My effect die, though, rolled a 6.
3 consequence back to you, so your endurance goes down by 3, and you did 6. And Bella.
Yeah, my d20 loves 8s, which is making me nervous because it's saving up the consequences for something big, I can tell.
Yeah, that's all right.
And I got a 3 on the
Beautiful.
consequence die.
So, together, now the encounter has finished, and you have successfully parted the encounter. A few of you cop a little bit in the process. So, we'll describe what our final scene of this encounter is.
So I'm taking a little bit of beating on the ground, but I get my whistle out. I whistle for the horse, and my beautiful, beautiful dappled grey horse. Let's call him Smokey. Smokey! I wish I could whistle. I should have practiced for it. And then he comes and rescues me a little bit, barrels through, knocks all these guys off me, and I swing myself up into the saddle and I like quickly clock where my fellow knights are, and seeing that they are still up and standing and capable, I'm gonna book it for the gate.
I've snuck away from the combat. The hatchet comes down, breaks the... No time to undo them all, just like break the locks on all of these gates. Mm-hmm. They throw them all open, imitate wolf howl, spook the horses even more than they already are. And then as the last horse runs out of the gate, slightly smaller than all of the rest, a black horse, I'm just gonna like reach up and grab sort of by the mane and hoist myself onto this horse and follow the tidal wave of horse towards this gate.
I'm hoping that a few horses get out, ideally my own as well. I'm probably, just like as a horse is running past, grab an axe off of it and just slam into the chains that are holding this thing up. Mm-hmm. I think that what happens though, as I've caught this huge shudder through the portcullis, is one of the boiling oil pots that was used to defend from this attack in the first place but never got used tips from above the wall, and it doesn't go all over me, but does, like, scar one of my hands.
Given that this is how this scene is going, can we please have the Indiana Jones escape as everything's coming down? We all meet up. You know, Tully gets up onto the horse and the three of us, like, as this thing is coming down on us, sneak under it with the horses, all ducked low.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you ride it as this thing is coming down, and you all, like, duck your heads and go through, and then there's just, like, the knights bashing on and waving their hands, rah, at you guys. And at that, I think our introduction to our game is over. You ride away from Camelin at best speed, and given that they are currently being attacked by a dragon, no one gives chase to you. Knowing now that your lands under Bycourt are likely not safe to return to, you travel for several days away to to one of the remaining high noble courts under the Countess Enifin, a distant relation of the High Queen Rhiannon PenLlew. As you finally arrive at the great castle, passing through hills and dales, then we have opportunity to finish our character creation. So the first thing is imagining a conversation. We've had our action sequence, but we're going to introduce some characters' knights' names for a moment. So, unless you have a name for your own knight that you particularly care on, feel free to roll me a d20, and I'll give you two options. One slightly more male, one slightly more female, but your choice, and feel free to mix them and do whatever you want to do.
All right. I rolled a 3.
3. Your options are Caradoc or Carefleur.
Look, I gotta be Caradoc. Love Caradoc.
Caradoc. Now, your title, it could be Sir, Dame, or gender-neutral Knight.
I like Sir Caradoc.
Sir Caradoc.
Yeah.
So, Caradoc, you are having a conversation. Please tell me what you might be talking about as you are traveling through hills and primeval forests and all of that sort of stuff. Who are you talking to? Who is the person that you engage in conversation with?
I feel like I'd be going for all 3 in conversation.
Excellent. Just a general conversation to anyone. So who responds? Tully or Vela, roll me a d20. Tell me that number and I'll give you a name.
I certainly respond. Glad I got it out of the way now. I rolled a 20.
Beautiful. Your names are Turnian or Gavian.
Ooh. I'm just going to fusion them into Tervain.
Tervain. And Sir, Dame, or Knight?
Dame Tervain rhymes too much, so I'm going to go Knight Tervain.
Beautiful. And Vela.
I was actually looking through the list before and attempting to quash my urge to pick one of the stranger names that I know can be actually traced to the period. We could have had a Knight Letice, everybody.
Oh, yes.
You tell me now.
Wow.
Letice. We can trace Letice. Remember, Rapunzel is the name of a leafy green. This is a totally
So
period
real.
thing.
Oh.
Yep, sure.
So actually, I think we have a Knight Letice.
Put some respect on the leafy greens.
And you know what? And your heraldic colours are indeed green. So
I did not think about this before, but yes, they are indeed green.
Excellent. So you are conversing on the topic of what to do. Your cousin Tully is not well. He is bleeding. He is on horseback. You're a horse culture, so people can ride asleep. You're that good on horses. But he is clearly pale and shaking. 3 of you are conversing about what to do. What are your options here and what to do with this potentially dying man? Will you pause for a while to heal him or continue on to safety?
He can't go on like this for much longer. There has to be something we can do. Letice, you've knowledge of plants, I assume, as a hunter. Some kind of promise? Something we can put on him? Anything?
I will do as I can, but these are unfamiliar lands. But can I make an attempt anyway?
You certainly can.
I would like to attempt to find something with which to tend the wounds of this faithful cousin.
Excellent. Please roll a d20, and because you're a hunter, I'll let you roll twice and take the lower of the results, or your choice of the results.
Ooh.
All right. For the consequence roll, is it d6 or d8?
No, the consequence will probably be the guy perishes.
Fair enough.
Real.
So one of those is a 14, but one of them is a 1, and I would like to take the 1, please.
Yeah, find some nettles and foxglove and sort of turn them into a poultice. You stitch his wounds, clean out what you need to with sort of rough surgery. And while he is still not a well person, and you bear the scars of this wound for the remainder of his life. What is your cousin's name, Tervain, please?
I rolled a 16.
A 16 gives you Pericad or Pinion.
Oh, Pericad's good.
Is your cousin a knight or just a esquire, so like an adult noble?
I think he's an esquire.
Yep, so he is Esquire Pericad. No worries. That's pretty normal. Most families only have one knight. Okay, with that in mind, you have saved his life, Knight Letice. You have saved the life of Esquire Pericad as you continue. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create your heraldry. Knight Tervain, you have what is your heraldry? And tell me, how did you get that heraldry?
Mentioned it slightly earlier during the escape scene. The heraldry is a wool pack and a wing, kind of split with a sword down the middle, which is meant to harken back to some corny line his father would always go on about knights being the defenders of the soft and the free. Like, we bear the heavy armor so that they don't have to. And he always found that kind of like like, yeah, okay, old man. But then I started to like properly understand it after graduating from Squire and actually taking on that responsibility. So despite that, they're words that Tervain kind of lives by now.
Excellent. And Sir Caradoc, what is your heraldry and how did you get it?
So my heraldry is a crown, an orange crown, a gold crown on a black field. Mm-hmm. And I think that my family probably has had a very simplistic, like straightforward, it's loyalty to the rightful monarch, right? And so that's just been their entire thing the entire time. A long line of servants to the crown, I suppose.
I see. And finally, Vela, what is your heraldry and how did you get it?
Yeah, so mine has family drama. My heraldry, for those who are not currently able to see it, is 3 geese on a green back, 3 white geese on a green background with a book in between them. And it comes from like 2 generations back. There was a big argument between my grandfather and his brother because one of them was continuing this like hunting tradition of our family and was actually the groundskeeper of one of the monarchs, and the other had gone into the sort of civil service, had been a monk, learned their letters and become a scribe in the court. And when they became landed, there was a little bit of a discussion over whose tradition in the family should get pride of place in the heraldry. And so after many spoiled family gatherings, finally it was decided that the book should be larger, but there should be more geese. And this was how they kept their family in accord.
One last thing as we go through the scenes, and we have a couple of little character scenes showing the things that you guys do. Possibly this is your trait. So maybe we've got a little scene. Dael, what's a scene that might show off your particular trait?
Interesting. I'm definitely out there chopping wood for the fires. Every time we stop to make camp, I'm out there like ripping down trees.
Is this like a shirtless scene where you just and you're like
just
when you carry
sweat
heaps
all over,
of carrying heaps of logs as you're going through.
100%.
Yeah, there's some peasants in there, and there's like 5 of them carrying one log, and then there's like you with one log by yourself. That sort of stuff. Beautiful. Tully, your trait is?
It was protector.
Well, on our journey to Astolat, how do we see your protection trait show up?
I imagine my character as being fairly, like, anxious a lot of the time, and so it's probably, like, I'm first watch, and also the last one, make sure you're getting enough sleep. I'm also watching over the infant. Like, I'm probably caring for the child a lot.
Okay, so we see that the child with you. And Vela, how do we see the hunter trait in this travel montage?
Probably the classic is I'm doing the foraging. I reckon we did grab horses, and we did have like our horses that had some supplies with them, but you can never sort of rely entirely on those, and you have to make them stretch, especially since we weren't expecting for our journey to be this long. I reckon sort of the first thing you see is me going through everything, making sure that nothing's spoiled, throwing out anything that was ruined during our time in the dungeons from just sitting in a saddlebag, and then sort of the classic montage of the arrows shooting small woodland creatures and bringing them back to camp, like jump cut to them roasting over the fire and berry picking. And
have we got like an amusing little squeak as this arrow just flies across the screen? Obviously,
and the very, if we're going like 80s, 90s fantasy movies, definitely the very obviously now like a puppet or like something like falling onto the forest floor, like
Yep.
It was footage of a real bird, now it is clearly not, and then the jump cut. Yep,
I love that. Okay, so the next thing we do, either tell me your physical description in these scenes, or if you've got no idea, you can just roll me 3d6, tell me the numbers on each, and that'll give you some stuff for your eyes, your hairstyle, and your body type.
I'm really enjoying these randomized descriptions, so I'm gonna do that. So that's a 5.
5. So your eyes are kind.
A 2.
Short hair.
And a 6.
Now this one says lithe, which means sort of athletic. Did you still want to go with athletic, given your relative mightiness?
No, we gotta pick bulky.
Yeah,
I see it right there.
So you're a big solid individual.
All right. I rolled a 5.
And more kind eyes. Very kind people.
2.
And then more short hair.
Even more. Mine's probably like
We're
really
twins!
fluffy. Mine's very fluffy.
Yep, fluffy hair. Done.
And 3.
3. Short.
I'll take that.
Just not the tallest of knights. And Knight Letice.
So I got a 2.
Bright eyes.
Bright eyes, wonderful. A 5.
Shaven hair. I see you're LARPing. You're
You're
LARPing.
cosplaying already.
The dice, yeah, we came prepared for this one, folks.
Yeah.
But I am gonna just go ahead and pick bulky from the list because I think we've got the sort of broad, mighty bulky in Sir Caradoc, but this kind of like dwarven bulky for
Nice.
for Letice here.
The big knights. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a little scene where you are passing a shrine on the side of the road. So everyone's going to roll me a d12. If you particularly care, you can roll for a specific religion. One is either the native pagan religion, or the other one is the faithful, which is an analogue of Catholicism, but more like the cult of saints. So either roll me a d12 if you don't care. Now, patron spirits do stuff in this game. They will magically affect the world. So, but they are not obvious. You don't summon them. There's no fireballs in this game, but they will work subtly to help you out through dreams or, luck, that sort of stuff.
I rolled a d12 and got a 6.
A 6 gives you your patron saint. So the one that you potentially pray to is Saint Anthony. He is the saint of finding stuff and traveling. So he is your patron saint. He will often send you dreams and things like that to help you find your way.
That's neat. I like that. I'm a little curious what the pagan option is, but...
That'll be the 7 to 12s. So, yep.
Well, you're about to find out because I rolled a 12.
Yes! Yes!
12 is Barb, the goddess of fear and tactics.
Gosh, there's a real type I'm playing to in this game, honestly.
Do you like Barb, the goddess of fear and tactics?
Sure, we can roll with Barb, goddess of fear and tactics. Sure.
Mm-hmm. And Tully?
Can I go 5?
Saint Acacius, the patron saint of protection.
Oh, well, look at that.
Okay.
The next thing that we do, Tully, you already have one of these, as we're going to have a little flashback to your youth for a moment. And there are 2 members of your family. What these 2 members of your family are, you are the knight, and they are your heir and your spare. They are of adult age, but they are esquires, meaning that they are adult nobles. But adult is anything over 15, really. With that in mind, what you're going to do is you're going to make them 2 of them. You can either roll a d12 and I'll give you a concept, or you could just make it up. But it basically goes like this. My cousin's name is Lance a Little, and he has premature balding. As simple as that, right? These characters develop over time, but to start with, we just need one little note we can base stuff off later.
So my family members, the first one I'm going to create is my cousin. Her name is Carolyn, and she is pious. Second one is going to be my uncle, who is my Uncle Crispin. He is reckless.
Oh,
He's very old, but he is still very reckless.
nice. Esquires do fight, just to let you know. They're not just decoration. It's just that knight is, you've got the armor, you've got the goods. Okay, Sir Caradoc.
I am going to roll for some deets, but I think I would like to have a sibling. It's a 6 again.
A 6 is pious. Do we want a pious?
Sure,
person?
Why not?
All right, and what's their?
Super churchy sibling, why not?
It depends. They could be pious in terms of being a pagan pious person.
That's true.
If you want that, that's fine.
I don't know. They're probably
What's their
Saint
name?
Anthony with me. Come on. Siblings stick together. Their name, I need some help with names. What's a good name?
Roll me a d20.
Oh, hello. All right. 14.
Nentius or Noneve?
Noneve. I like that. Okay, all right. The second one, let's say maybe I have 2 siblings. I'm gonna have a second sibling.
Yep. So Noneve, Sib 2. Is who's your heir? Who's your spare?
I think. Look,
let's do the
this
second
is
one
just
first.
fun because I rolled the d12 again for the second person's trait or characteristic, their concept, and they got ambitious with a 1. So I think it's fun if they're the spare.
Oh, that's even better. That's what we love.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's their name?
They also got a 14. So what was the other name option for 14?
Nentius. Who are Tervain's family members?
I think that I've got Pericad and a sibling.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about Pericad.
As tempted as I am to go 3 for 3 on the pious, I think Pericad is...
What do you know about him so far?
A little bit, I guess that would be luxurious. He enjoys the finer things in life.
Okay, he just likes the luxurious stuff. Okay, and who's your other cousin here?
I think it would be a sibling for the next one, who has a way with animals.
Excellent.
And I think that I'm a little salty that Pericad is the heir, but my sibling is the spare. But in what's happened the last few days, he's really proven himself to me.
Yeah, nice. What's your other sibling's name?
Let's roll. That's going to be a 12.
Lamarak or Leona?
Let's go Leona.
I've got one last question for you. Now you've got your own horses and equipment and things like that back. You grab your fine weapon. You all have a horse. We've got one dashing grey steed, one beautiful chestnut. And what is Tervain's horse? And please give your horse just a touch of personality. Because a knight's horse is an important character to this game.
So grey-white, but dappled with brown spots.
Nice. And what's your name?
I'm going to roll one more time. That's a 9.
9. Igradin or Isilt?
Oh, Igradin, in a heartbeat.
Oh, it's got a full-on human name. It's not like Iggy or something. Igradin. Okay, done. And what's its personality like?
Igradin is very Igradin only runs when it has to. Otherwise, it's relatively just slow and plodding. It definitely can do the job, but just doesn't particularly want to.
Nice. And Sir Caradoc, what is your horse's name? It was Smokey. And what's Smokey's personality?
Oh, Smokey's impatient. Smokey is champing at the bit, you might say.
Nice. And Letice, what was your horse's name?
I think my horse's name is... You know what? We're going to roll for this. How about 13?
13. Moberius or Morvid?
Oh, my horse is Moberius.
Moberius.
I love that both of your horses have proper names, and I'm Smokey.
What's Moberius's personality like?
I think Moberius is also almost like a comedic foil
Comedy
to Letice. There's very big horse, very small person, and the horse is quite wayward. It is a negotiation to get this horse to go places. Very much the sort of bold, noble animal that...
Excellent. One last question. Now that you've had an opportunity to take your own equipment back, what is the weapon that we see you draw off your horse? And tell me, this is your fine weapon. This is now every knight has a sword. It's a symbol of your station, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's meaningful to you. What is the weapon that is meaningful to you, and why is it meaningful? Maybe it's functional, ornamental. Maybe it's got a history. Maybe it was given by someone. Maybe it's got a legend or a reputation. It's not magical, although people might say it is. That's up to you.
I reckon mine is a hunting bow. It is the family hunting bow, and it used to belong to my reckless uncle. But passing it down to the next generation was the only way that they could stop him going out and doing reckless things with it. So I am now the keeper of the hunting bow, and it must no longer fall into his hands lest he injure himself or someone else.
Nice.
You need a side campaign about your family.
Yeah. Well, you'll see this in the fief phase very shortly, but we're all about side campaigns. And so that's not Letice. What about Sir Caradoc?
If it's an option, I'm thinking it's probably something like a Morning Star, because I think Sir Caradoc, as he was training, as he was growing up, with my 8 in prowess, I feel like he was only barely getting by in terms of the sword techniques. It was only once you moved on to stuff that was really time to bash things that it really started to click.
Excellent. And how is this Morning Star meaningful to you?
I think that's what it is. It's meaningful to him because it's I can be a knight. I can be a knight. Everything is going to be okay because I can hit things with my Morning Star.
Excellent. And Knight Tervain, what weapon is meaningful to you? By the way, you all have every weapon you want. You're nuts. So if I said that before, you can't scratch yourself without finding a weapon of some sort somewhere. That's just the nature of who you are in your profession. So, but what is the one that is meaningful to you?
Mine would be a spear. It doesn't look too much different to usual, except maybe the point to shaft ratio is a bit more in the point's favor than it's typical. But the pole of it is made from the same pole that held up a banner for my family during a famous war eons past. And so it got turned from a symbol into a practical spear, and that's been handed down.
Nice. I love it. Each of you have been knights for a number of years now. You have met each other. Perhaps you trained in simultaneous times. You've been to feasts, even though you were from different counties, different baronies and things like that. You have met each other, dealt with each other, that sort of stuff before. Everyone here has given a gift to one other person because that's standard in the laws of hospitality. Cameron, that you own a knight's fief of about 200 odd people or so. So let's say Knight Letice, you're going to give something to Knight Tervain. Knight Tervain, you're going to give something to Knight Sir Caradoc, and Sir Caradoc back to Knight Letice. What thing did you give to them at some point in the past? What did you give to Sir Caradoc the Mighty, and why?
I like to think that during one of our travels, you helped bring down someone with a really nice helm. It got bludgeoned beyond recognition as you saved me by coming in with the Morning Star. I had people of my fief work tirelessly to restore this thing as a symbol of I feel you two have both saved me so many times I'm running out of gifts I could give you. And now you saved my cousin. Stop saving my family, I'm going broke.
So what sort of helm? Are we talking a pot helm or a full great helm or a nose helm?
I think it's a full great helm. Not the kind of thing you'd want to wear outside a big battle, but it is sturdy, it is pretty.
Sir Caradoc, what do you do with this helm?
Oh, it's going straight to the pool room. Pride in place.
Yeah, so you don't wear it?
I probably only would wear it for tourneys. I don't think I would wear it into battle, but I think I would wear it into symbolic battle, if that makes sense. So,
Sir Caradoc, you gave something to Knight Letice. What did you give?
I'm thinking maybe I happen to have just this. I don't know how this stuff works, so just pretend that what I'm saying makes sense. We've just got really good quality trees in my area, and so I had just a quiver full of arrows made that were just really primo, good quality, but with a means for function. It's really there's not as much sentimentality to it so much as it's just you shoot things and I got good trees, we'll make you the good arrows. Is probably, I think he was thinking very functional, very straightforward.
How did Knight Letice receive that?
Knight Letice is keen on this gift. I think in a very similar manner, I think Knight Letice only uses these arrows almost as good luck things. They've been used in a couple of tourneys, but very sparingly. Keep a couple in the quiver for when things really matter. And there's one that's just sitting again above the mantle that's just, we don't use this one, even if every other arrow in that quiver gets used. This one is the symbol of our friendship, and it stays where it is. It stays in our house.
Excellent. And Knight Letice, what did you give to Knight Tervain?
A really nice rabbit fur cloak for
beautiful.
Winter travels.
Oh, yes.
Nice and soft, really warm.
Yeah.
And we see that sort of stuff on there. Beautiful. What color is it?
I think it's a little bit of a patchwork. You need a lot of rabbits to make one cloak, so it's sort of a bit of a range of colors.
Nice. And how did you respond to that, Knight Tervain?
Oh, in love with it. I wear it very consistently during the cold seasons or during long travels. It has become something my character is visually known for.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
That's what
Am
we
I
like.
permitted to imagine you wrapped up in it, fallen asleep in a couch by the fire on cold winter nights?
Absolutely.
Yes.
See, I've pictured this character as very sheep-coded, but
But now
this is my usual bias.
And now we know that you're small as well. So
Oh, you're so right.
All right, so we have now finished character creation. You return Then, after all of this and escaping, you escape back to your own lands in Astolat. And you head back to the Countess, follow in the wake of her own armies who quit the field, but you're a day or two behind them. And eventually, when you finally return to the great castle at Astolat, you are welcomed inside with great joy. You come to the great feast hall itself, and the Countess welcomes you back, gives you all the kiss of peace, which is like the kiss, and on the lips. She and her wife there both welcome you, and she is the druidess Marilyn, is the Countess's wife. They welcome you and thank you for returning. And even in this dark time, says the Countess, she is an older woman. She's about 40 to 50 years old, and she wears the headband, a green dress. She sits up at the high table and she says, "I welcome you back, my knights. But in this dark time, I am glad to have your favour, but no doubt Bycourt will come for us eventually, and we must make plans for war. Either that, or I must bend the knee to that foul betrayer king, and of that I do not wish in the least. With the PenLlew gone, there is none to unite all of us, and even now, Bycourt's ally, Ella Wolf King, the raider from the far shores, has taken the southern lands for himself. We are in great peril, my good knights, and I need you to help me win back this land. I do not know if I will be able to unite all of the lands under my banner. Astolat is mine, of course, but of all the lands here, there will be great strife and turmoil unless we have some symbol to which we can do. I must think of this," she says.
Amongst tragedy, we do bring some good news.
There is a shred of hope for the PenLlew line.
There is one remaining.
Of all of my nieces and nephews, who lives? You have found out from your cousin that the one who lives is the youngest, a bastard daughter of the Princess Anandri, Kalia PenLlew. She is but a babe in arms at this time. What do you guys want to say to the Countess?
Look, hear us out. Is she a bastard? Yes. Is she a baby? Yes.
But greater plans have been made with less.
Royal blood runs in her veins.
And a shred of hope bests none on any morn.
The Countess and her wife look as you present the baby. I assume you present the baby. If you don't, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
And the druidess lays her hands for a moment on the little baby's brow, and the little baby grabs with mighty fingers, and you feel for a moment a strange, otherworldly whooshing around you, and everything sort of turns to a faint reddish color for just a moment as the druidess summons some magic whispering chants under her breath. And she looks back to her wife and she says, "My beloved, it is true. What these knights say is without doubt." And the Countess sits down in great shock and she says, "This baby is in great danger. My knights, I ask you here to keep this knowledge to yourselves. And I ask you one further thing. I believe it would be best if you share the wardship of this girl. May she travel between your lands to learn from each of you in your own time, and merely seems yet another page girl. And we shall hide this knowledge from her. Do you agree?"
I accept this responsibility.
I have an additional proposition to share.
Speak true. Good night.
Our enemy, the Betrayer King, perhaps knows that one of the line remains, but may yet not know which. Perhaps a partial knowledge may be shared, but the identity and age and circumstances of the child may not. It may buy us time as the Betrayer King fails to act for fear of greater reprisal than is truly coming.
You speak wisely, my knight. You speak wisely indeed. I give you this charge to go to spread this information as you feel best. Now, we have returned our soldiers here, and for this time we must lick our wounds and return to our lands and go about our business. I feel that Bycourt will not move again until next year, after he has consolidated his claims upon his lands. We have some time. I ask you to go back, consolidate your own claims upon your own lands, and we shall return again to discuss what matters lie before us and work together to see if we can bring back the High Queen of Avalon once she has achieved her majority. Do you agree?
Yes.
I do.
Aye, aye.
I bid you farewell, knights. May your travels be fast and safe. What we're going to do at this point is you have a few days back there. What's going to happen now is we're going to go into what's called the fief phase. What you just had was the adventure phase, where we lean in just like D&D and you play your characters out and a thing happens. In the fief phase, it's very much an overview of the story of what goes on. So we're going to tell greater stories about other characters, about the world, and we're going to add stuff to the map as we do so. So you're always going to, every time a story happens, you're going to draw something in on the map, sort of where it happens and a little note underneath, just to tell us. It's like a shared document. So the way that this works, you return to your lands, you separate, you return to your lands, and the first thing that happens is somewhere in the following year, some adventures will happen. The first thing is you'll pick a family member, and then you're going to entangle someone else's family member in a problem. You're going to tell the story, and with a luck roll of a d6, 1 is bad, 6 is great, then you're just going to tell that story and it's going to add to the world. Okay, so as an example, my knight, Sir Lancelot, goes to Vela's cousin, Sir Roundabout, and I roll on my table over here, which will give me a word. I randomly roll a 2d6 and I read out each number, a 1 and a 2, and that tells me there's a matter of an animal. Because I'm still not sure exactly what story I'm going to tell, I'm going to roll a luck die to tell me whether it's a good or a bad story. It gets 2. Terrible. I think what's going to happen here is that Sir Lancelot and Sir Roundabout are basically at a horse market auctioning off a great war horse or something like that, and they are trying to both sort of outbid each other for it. And I think what's going to happen is that because I rolled so badly, I'm going to have the horse, but I'm going to indebt my family house because I rolled so badly. And then I just tell this little tale, and we do this with help with the other person who's involved as well. So let's go first. So why don't we pick Knight Letice's family? So please pick one of your family members, and then I'm going to roll you a word.
I'm going to pick Carolyn, because Carolyn hasn't done much yet.
Carolyn is pious. Tourney or tournament is your word. Would anyone like to volunteer a family member? And the other option is you can always use NPCs to involve other NPCs as well. So anyone that you might have heard of, such as the Countess or a wife or anything like that. Or would someone like to entangle a family member? That is the one that I would suggest.
I have an idea that I would like to suggest. So Caradoc, given as we both have pious family members, but from completely different backgrounds,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if our pious, your sibling, my cousin, begin some form of bet over the local tourney and may risk dishonor to one or both of our families in attempting to intercede on behalf of different knights. Using favor and make it into some form of altercation that is unbecoming to people of our status.
Love it.
So for Carolyn, please roll a die. D6, higher numbers are better luck for her, lower numbers are worse luck for her.
A 2.
2. So please tell me that story about what happens. And is it Nynaeve? So Carolyn and Nynaeve engage in a bet, but please tell us that story and what was the repercussions.
Carolyn and Nynaeve got into this discussion before the tourney, and it went a little bit far and some words were said that could not be taken back. So they both spend a couple of days sort of doing their respective devotions, show up at the tourney, and they're betting on knights, and they're side-eyeing each other from across the thing, and they're very obviously praying with their different accoutrements.
Please, please.
Oh, that's right. So Carolyn is a pious pagan, isn't she?
Yes. So we've got a lot of like trinkets, wearing things on necklaces, going around, and that
bit
sort
of mandrake and hemlock, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, some things along those sorts of lines. And it looks a little weird and it stands out, but the knight that is the promised of Sir Anthony appears to be winning.
Oh.
And some accusations get thrown around for a little while that Carolyn is not in fact relying solely on the deity in order to claim victory, as would be right and honorable, but instead has resorted to underhanded tactics. And as a result, Carolyn is forced to go around with some expensive gifts and some very groveling apologies to the family of Sir Caradoc, and stay and make reparations for the shame brought upon our family line.
Knight Letice, you're the head of the family. How do you deal with your pious sister who has had accusations of bad play? Is it like accusations of like proper witchcraft, or is it just like foul play?
No, it's foul play. I think that the problem is that it wasn't witchcraft. I think the problem is that witchcraft would have been fine. That was within the rules of the bet. But actually, it was stuff like
cutting saddle girths
with
and
the horse
stuff
during the joust or something like that. It was like
Oh.
actual cheating on the.
Did she do it?
I still don't know. I
Oh.
think, although I think given Badav, I think the problem at this point is like you get this scene of Knight Letice sitting there like across the dining table. And this like very contrite Carolyn sort of, you know, I'm terribly sorry for doing this. It's like, no. Badav is the goddess of tactics. She does not mind that you advanced her cause through the means available to you. But the tactics say that you should not have gotten caught.
Cheating is a kind of tactics. You just got to be better at it.
Now here's a real question. Was it Sir Caradoc's horse that was messed with?
Not smoky. Yeah, sure. Why not? That sounds fun.
Something a little bit harmless, but like
cutting saddle girths and that sort of stuff. So
Just making the stirrups just a little short.
Yeah. Putting something
These are up
like
too
a little
high.
bit of sand under the girth just to like irritate the
Yeah.
horse and put it off. Yeah.
So Caradoc, everyone believes that it is Knight Letice's cousin, the priestess, who has stopped you from winning this tournament. Clearly, how do you respond to that?
I let them believe that. They don't need to know. In reality, I've got that big helmet on. It's just kind of.
Nice.
They don't need to know.
Okay.
And you got some nice gifts out of it, and our families are friends in the end anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
Behind closed doors, I'm talking to Night Even. I'm going, look, the deal is tactics are fair play, but yeah, you can't get caught cheating. I'm just having the same conversation with my sibling.
Nice. What is the gift that makes reparations between your houses?
A new saddle, I think. I think we make a really nice new saddle for Smokey.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Smokey appreciates that.
Carolyn resisting the urge to have it come with sand underneath.
Just a pack of sand, yeah.
Just paint the sand on as a reminder.
Excellent. Vela, would you be able to please draw something on the map to represent the little adventure that just took place? Obviously,
Okay.
relatively small, so maybe the tournament, maybe a little
site.
Yeah.
tournament
I think-
site. It could just be a dot and then you write 20 side or something underneath. It's up to you. Knight Tervain, please pick a family member and someone else. Could be someone else's family member, could be someone else's knight to have an adventure with. So you pick yours and I'll give you a word.
Yeah, I think I might have Pericad actually approach Letice.
So the word that I'm going to give you is hospitality. Have you got something, or do you want me to spin it with a luck die of how bad to good this could be?
I want to see the luck die, because it'll be hilarious if
You
this
can
is
always
bad.
ignore it. Oh, it's a 1.
Oh no! So what I had in mind was Pericad approaches Letice as to about, you saved my life on that trail. I understand that there is now a debt that I wish to fulfill now as opposed to down the road. Is there some service I can be of? And this is someone who only recently kind of understood how to show courage. It was a bit of a castle rat before. And with a 1, I'm trying to figure out how he could mess up badly enough. Like, what would you have him do?
Or is it? So do you go to? Here's an example. Maybe you go to Letice's house, which is everyone has a fortified either tower house or small encampment type of thing. Not encampment, like buildings and hall, that sort of stuff. Everyone has one of those. Maybe you go there, and as you do it, something terrible happens. What do you think it might be?
You live in a forested area, don't you? He's having a grand old time bringing you a gift of meat from a latest lamb slaughter. And he's carrying this through the forest with wolves. The forest of wolves that enjoy the smell of meat. A lot of wolves.
Oh no. So what happens then? Knight Letice. Does Knight Letice help?
Of course,
As you-
obviously Knight Letice helps. Like,
You hear the howling of the wolves, Knight Lettuce, and when you arrive at the hunting, because you've never heard them so riled up before, when you get there, you see Pericad surrounded by hungry wolves with bags of meat on his back, and at this point, he then asks if he can do you a favor.
Knight of the Poker Face is probably going on. Of course, my good noble. Perhaps we may discuss the favor once the meat is inside the castle.
Covering himself in glory, Pericad is relatively saved. What's your view about Pericad, and how does Pericad feel about this now, Tully?
Like, after the previous adventure, he kind of wants to become a knight eventually. He wants to enter that kind of world. He's just really struggling with, like, integrating himself into that kind of light. I feel this is not the first mistake he's made on that journey.
So, Caradoc. So, please pick a family member to have an encounter, and I'll give you a word.
So this is going to be Nentius, my ambitious younger brother.
I got a 4 and a 3, so it's actually to do with other knights. So the gentry and other knights in some way.
Very interesting. Couple of ways we could go there. I do have in the back of my head, depending on exactly how idiotic my brother is, this ambition could lead him in the direction of really thinking, okay, if I'm not likely to be inheriting here, maybe if I make connections with the new usurper king. So I wonder whether he's been caught sending letters to the sort of knights and gentry who are loyal to the betrayer.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the person you want to entangle with is Bycourt the Betrayer, is that right? So do you want me to give you a luck die to see how it goes, or do you want to take it from here?
Let's luck die it. All right, okay.
Oh man, this dice is not rolling anything except for ones.
Oh, good. Great. Great. That goes great then. That's good. That's really good for Nentius.
So what happens? What happens to Nentius as he is caught sending letters? Who catches him? Sending letters literally to the guy that just imprisoned Caradoc and killed a whole bunch of other family members of yours.
Well, let me ask this. Is the one bad for Nentius or is it bad for me?
It's bad for Nentius.
It's bad for Nentius? Oh, no. No. You know what I think actually happens with a 1? I think that he maybe doesn't get caught sending the letters in time. He organizes some kind of rendezvous. He meets up with them, and they just execute him. Or take him. I don't know whichever one is more dramatic. But
it depends. Hostage taking is very common in the setting,
and also gives a chance for the bad guys to use him against us. So I feel like that's got more dramatic opportunity. Yeah. I think he gets got. And so on my end, it's just very Mulan, like going into the room in the dead of night in the middle of a storm and finding it empty. And he's taken all his clothes and left a note.
Does Bycourt send you a letter?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you get a message, either by letter or by messenger, saying that your cousin is now kept under house arrest in Camelin, where he is treated as a member of his station and given the same lodgings as you recently had.
Oh, great. Good.
All right, so time has passed over that year, and a couple of different things happened to your fief in that time. I'm going to now run a very short, teeny tiny, basically one roll adventure type of thing to say something that happened to your individual knights by themselves. And the first thing that I've got is romance for Knight Letice. So, Knight Letice, does Knight Letice have a preference in romantic partners?
I think Knight Letice prefers the company of women in general.
Knight Letice, you are unmarried, and this is a terrible thing because you never get any heirs unmarried. Whether you adopt or obviously need to procreate to be able to have your lands go to somebody. And so the standard process is that you go to your liege lady and she sort of arranges a marriage and things like that for you. as is standard, the interfering old busybody, the Countess, has targeted you and everything that is going on for you right at the moment. You can barely move without the Countess coming up and asking your preference for this, or do you prefer blonde hair or dark hair, or this or that, or she seems to be really getting like fully into this. You get ordered. Your nightly service, which is normally very soldierly, guarding castles or doing raiders, you are not sent on any of those missions whatsoever. You are sent to, your job is to woo this lady and see if it's going to work out. You are going to, you do this, you do that, and eventually you do come to a lady. So let's roll her name up for me. The Lady Kerfler.
Love it.
Kerfler. The Lady Kerfler is attractive, well-spoken, everything is wonderful. She does have a minor problem, though, that you hear about. She has 3 elder brothers. Her lands are hers by right. She has but her 3 elder brothers are unfortunately just squatting on her land, and she's not allowed to basically rule her own lands. You hear about this situation as you are traveling through, and the 3 elder brothers are out hunting when you attend, and the Lady Kerfler, blonde-haired, blue-eyed. She is wearing a fine blue dress. She touches her fingers just gently to yours as she tells you about her plight. And she says, Knight Letice, many woes betide me, and I am as yet unwed. And while I would look to maintain my lands, if my 3 step-brothers, not actually related to me at all, are driven from my lands, I would be able to bring this land again to aid the Countess. But as it is, they spend all their money on alcohol and prostitutes. And so as you see, she says, you are served like pea soup. We have very little to serve to guests such as you. Will you aid me, good knight? And if you do, then I promise you that we can be betrothed and become allies.
Nothing would pleasure me greater, my lady. For my family is not only skilled at hunting, but also skilled in the arts of the mind, and I feel that if we put the one to the other, we may best your brothers at both.
I am glad of it, she says. How are you going to deal with the fact that there are 3 drunken louts that are basically taking all of this lady's money and from everything in the land and abusing the peasants and all of that sort of stuff?
Oh, in extremely classic period knightly fantasy tradition. I believe it's time to challenge them to some form of contest, which I shall be sure to win. It seems they like hunting and they like drinking, and I believe, am I allowed to enlist the help of my family members? Obviously?
Absolutely, you can do that. Your other family members are members of your fighting band.
I think it's time for me and my uncle to come up with something reckless.
Would someone like to take on the role of Crispin, the reckless older uncle, for a moment?
I'm down to crisp up.
Tully, thank you. You can be Crispin, the elder uncle, for just a moment, as you come up with a plan with Knight Letice.
What's the play?
Here's what we're going to do. The issue in question is not necessarily their demeanor or habits. It is their ability to care for the land and their position within it.
Alongside their demeanor and habits.
Yes, of course, alongside this. We shall use those habits against them to prove that those habits make them unfit for the task of the former. Here is what I propose. We challenge them to a contest of hunting, as the hunting around this land is quite fruitful.
Do you want to be Carolyn, the pious priestess, please, Dael? Because you are here too.
Sure. Hey, gang!
Don't sneak up on me like that.
Carolyn, we may have a chance to redeem yourself in the eyes of Badab after this failed tactics. I say we challenge them to a game of hunting. The ability to know the lands, that if they are shown up on their own land by a newcomer, knowing the area and the animals in it better than they shall be shamed in the eyes of those around them, and
they'll never recover their reputation.
Correct. So we challenge them to a game of hunting. Crispin and I shall go after the dangerous game. We shall go after the boar in the woods, while Carolyn
put sand in their saddles. Got it.
run various tricks of
That's
your
my
own
goal.
devisement, such that they are unable to come up with game larger than a squirrel.
This is what we're going to do. For Carolyn and Crispin, let's see how well you go, which will affect the final die roll of the main character here, Knight Letice. Can you run your tricks? Carolyn, please roll me a d6 and how well does it go? You are a priestess and well known for tricks, so please roll twice and take the one you prefer.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Look, I rolled a 1 and a 2.
So what happens with your various tricks?
Look, I think that maybe as I'm setting about to start sort of implementing my little tricks and bits and bobs, maybe someone around the place recognizes me by reputation. You know, they're like, wait, didn't I hear about what happened with you at the tourney? And so it kind of gets too hot for me to do anything or do much of anything at all. So I don't really get to implement my tricksy tricks.
Okay, and how do you go with your hunting, Crispin? How do you aid this situation?
My strategy was I do believe in my family's ability to beat them on skill alone. And so by that metric, I go to one of them the night before and go drink for drink with them, trying to get them to sabotage themselves further.
Yes, Crispin!
Roll me that luck die. You reckon you'd get a double for being reckless? Or are we just flat out luck?
It is very, very reckless.
Okay, yeah, that's true. It sounds reckless. Roll twice, take the better.
5.
Nice, pretty good. Yeah, nice. And 5's pretty good, so you absolutely wreck one. So overall, when we finally get to the day and the hunting begins, and Knight Letice, you are riding out, getting your bow ready and organized like that. You see the 3 brothers muttering angrily to themselves about foul play and that sort of stuff. But you do see 2 of them while they're angrily muttering and glaring at you, they're not actually yet sort of, saying that you're not worthy of the contest, because 2 of them are flat still, just completely staggering as they're going. There is only one remaining. So please give us that check. You are a hunter. You may roll twice.
That is a 17, so please let's roll that again. Okay, now it's a 1.
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
Contrast.
Please tell me the end of your tale.
2 of the brothers, staggering drunk. Our family are well known. We've mapped out this area a little bit. I've gone on a lot of very romantic but incredibly chaste walks with the lovely Kerfler in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Marked out.
You held each other's hands once.
Oh yes. So yes, we've marked out the spot. We're going in with a plan. It's the classic sort of tactic. The dogs come, scare it forward. We're waiting with spears. There's a brief tussle. There is a moment where things could go one way or the other. Can the hangover withstand the boar? But in the end, we are victorious and not gored in the slightest. And we bring the boar home as a trophy, arriving just after, I think like a little while after, maybe like half an hour for dramatic effect, after the 3 brothers who have had some luck, I reckon, because they were actually able to get some decent game. There's like some pheasants in there, like there's good stuff. But seeing us come in with the boar, everybody's waiting around. We place the boar in front of them, and there's a sort of moment of speech as Letice says. Hark ye now, that a newcomer to the land hath bested 3 that spend all of their time upon it, in the knowledge of its animals and places. I state that they are unworthy to keep it, and in order to stake my claim, I beg that the Lady Kerfler give me her hand, as I have proven myself to be the worthy protector of her and of all that is hers.
At that, the gathered hall of all of the different esquires and servants, they'll glare at the 3 brothers, and knowing that they need to leave, they quit the lands in shame. And the Lady Kerfler takes your hand, and if you wish it, you are married underneath the moonlight, possibly by your own sister. Oh, cousin, I'm sorry. You call on the gods of the old gods of Clan, and Rhiannon, god of the moon, and Badav, of course, to bless your marriage, because it is tactics, of course, that won this marriage. Okay, our next adventure is Knight Tervain, and I get a 6 and a 3. Oh, it's to do with a horse. Okay, Knight Tervain, what's your horse's name?
Ygridan.
The mighty Ygridan with the grey, with the brownish spots upon it. Knight, you are writing about the lands, doing good, everything that you need to do as a knight. It seems that the Countess is really busy trying to get Knight Letice married off, so she's just left you to go and do many of the daily jobs of justice and protection, and you're really good at that sort of stuff. When unfortunately just riding over through the deep woods, heading to one village or another to check up on them and make sure everyone's going okay, when a shoe slips and Ygridan tumbles down over onto the side, you are thrown off. And while you know how to land, you see Ygridan there screaming in pain, a broken leg clutched underneath herself.
Magic is real. Magic is real. Let's just remember the magic is real.
You're here with your squire and your fighting warriors. There are other horses and such you can read. But what do you want to do from this point as your mighty war steed is laying here?
I'm gonna set my squire upon the fastest horse left in our ranks. I'm gonna send them back to my homestead for my younger sibling Leona, who was stated to have a way with animals.
Very true.
Because if anyone would know if there was any chance of Ygridan pulling through, it would be Leona.
Who would like to be Leona for the moment?
I can do it.
Yep. All right, Leona.
So it's going to be really similar to Helen.
When Leona arrives riding upon the horse, what do you want to? Just very quickly, what do you look like, Leona?
So very petite, and I suppose the fluffy hair becomes quite frizzy as I think she's grown it quite long.
Leona would have been. You don't have to send a rider. Leona is with you. She is one of your fighting warriors. Parakat and Leona are your fighting warriors. Let us paint this scene. Your horses fall. You have rolled off, and Leona draws near. Please, we have a little scene with a horribly wounded animal. What are you going to do?
Sister, you know steeds better than anyone else I know. Is there anything that we can do? Anything?
There's nothing that we can do until we've calmed her down. So I think that's got to be step one.
I take off my rabbit fur cloak I was given as a gift and put it over the horse.
Oh,
I'm just sitting there, like, brushing its hair with my hand.
Yeah,
the legs are like kicking. She's screaming like only a horse can scream. It's amazing.
There's a lot of shushing and gentle stroking of flanks until she calms down a little bit.
It takes a little while, but your skill with animals does eventually calm her, and you have a look at the leg. Do you think you can heal it? Do you want to make that luck roll?
I do want to make that luck roll.
But you are good with animals, so please roll twice and take the better one.
I can't. The weight of your horse's life is in my hands. I don't like it.
Just understand this will permanently mark our relationship as players.
Yeah. And with that understanding, I did roll a 3.
You get to roll twice, though. You can.
I rolled twice. The other was a 1.
So on screen, what do you say, knowing that this is a moderate result? Not too bad, not too good.
We could treat her if we can get her to somewhere secure. If we can get her to a warm, comfortable stable without her being able to walk, then we might be able to do something about this. But we'd have to get there first.
Where's Caradoc when you need him?
I know! That guy's so strong and muscular and handsome. He could have lifted the horse.
If we can get it up on like a little platform thing, we could make a
sled of some kind.
So I think this is the big roll to see if it's going to be effective or not, made by Turney. And which one of your attributes are you rolling against? Is it strength? Is it wit? Is it prowess? Your skill?
My argument for prowess would be the efficiency we're working with, because it's about keeping the system going for a long stretch of time and avoiding paths that are too rocky.
Make that D20 roll. And is there any benefit you might get from anyone or anything, including your spirit, if you like?
See, my spirit and my trait both overlap as protection.
In terms of the dice chain, you would get that like a D8 and then a D10 if you're protecting someone. But
oh, a 3 and a 4.
Oh, these are good numbers. Please describe what happens with your horse, with Ygridan, your mighty steed.
So that was a 3 on the D20 and a 5 on the D8.
Oh, you don't need the effect die. That's fine. Just the check. But you got a 3 on the D20. So no consequences. It works. And you please describe the ending of our scene. How do you end this?
I think that we do manage to get to a nearby warm stable where, like, I promise at my own cost, like, let us use your stable and your supplies. You'll be rewarded. We just need to care for her. I think it's a slow process. Considering how bad a leg break is for a horse, what I think happens is she can walk again. She's okay, but it would be unsafe and honestly uncaring for me to ever ride her into battle again.
Or you retire her to
I'm so
Bear
pleased
Falls?
that earlier on you specifically said that she's like, yeah, I'll do it, but I don't want to. I just want to meander about. I'm so pleased you said that because it makes my heart hurt less.
Yeah, that's honestly what she wanted. Her whole thing was like, she's chill and slow, and then looks confusedly at Smokey for being so impatient.
So your mighty war steward, you retire her to pasture, so to speak, to perhaps bear foals for you in the future. That is the end of our little bittersweet horse story. Okay. And finally, Sir Caradoc. Let's have a look here.
What's he been up to? Where was he when we needed him, huh?
Oh, okay. A weapon. So Caradoc, you are, what's something that you like doing around your own manor, around your own fief?
I think that he is a fairly rustic guy, ultimately. I think he likes getting his hands dirty. I think he likes wandering around, seeing who needs help, building churches or orphanages or whatever, and just getting in there and getting it done.
Someone's building up a little watchtower or something on your fief, and you're the guy with the biggest rocks, you know?
Yeah.
You know, all of that sort of stuff. Your peasants love you.
Lifting
other
things
knights
at
think
every
that
opportunity.
even as you were lifting things, and you wipe your shirtless, sweaty, yourself down with a towel, and there's just that scene, for the romantic interest of the viewer, like as we pan down on those on all of the abs and stuff, and you just see a strange glimmer off one of the trees deeper in the forest for a moment, just not too far from your lands.
That's real weird. I'm gonna go check it out. What's that glimmer?
You head in. And it's actually a lot deeper into the forest than what you thought. And eventually you come to a great tree, huge. If there were four of you, you wouldn't be able to sort of hug it together. It's massive. And driven into the center of it, point in, you see the hilt of a sword. It's of a slightly older sort with very sort of small quillions, not the modern style whatsoever. And a carved image of a sun on the pommel itself. But even as you do so, that you hear like a clipping and a clopping coming from deeper in the forest, and a strange green figure on similar to a centaur, but with its body coming up from the middle of the horse and not from the front, with antler horns, 6 arms, all of them bearing swords, walks out from behind a tree and begins to circle you as you are there, still shirtless. You probably have your sword because no one ever, you don't walk around without it.
The other knights are never going to believe this. I'm having a really weird day.
And it speaks. Are you mighty enough to bear the blade of the goddess Andraste?
I'm the mightiest.
Draw the sword from the tree with one pull, or I will cut you down. And it raises its blades up high for a moment. Or I will cut you down as you tug with futility.
Okay. No one's gonna know this is how I died.
Or leave, knowing yourself to be a coward and no true knight.
Okay, calm down. Calm down, sir. I'm gonna pull the sword.
What does this scene look like?
The scene looks like a really buff dude. Lumberjack with a sword, reaching for another sword in a tree, being circled by a 6-armed centaur with so many swords. There's just so many swords involved in what's
There's
happening.
a lot of swords happening right now.
I feel like you painted a great visual. I can't really add much to it. There's barely any light filtering down through the leaves. I feel like this is just a straight up test of might, which thank goodness that's what I'm best at.
Roll that check, probably on your vigor, unless you want to do it something else. Roll it twice because you're mighty.
Thank you. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to roll. Caradoc's not afraid. He's great. This feels so right to him, but I'm afraid. Why are all my dice rolling so well today? My lowest is a 13.
Oh dear. The centaur immediately leaps towards you with all 6 swords pulling down. I'm going to roll myself my D10 so you...
I would know the name of my person who defeated me.
It simply says that I am known as a Nurgledy. It is of my type, and I will not give you my name. but you are clearly not mighty enough to be the true protector of the lioness cub, she who shall unite this realm. I will cut you down, and a better man and a better knight will take your stead. I'm rolling against your endurance, and I get myself a 7. So your endurance is reduced down to a 1 because you had 8. What are you going to do now?
First, I'm going to pray in humility, and then I will try again.
Okay. Well, roll again. You feel for a moment that Saint Anthony is sort of on your shoulder. You hear him whispering to you. He said it is he who has guided you this way. Roll twice.
Anthony, I swear.
He says, believe in the Queen in heaven, and you shall be successful. Oh, how do we go?
I have great news. One of my dice was a 20.
Nice.
The other was a 1.
Oh, wow.
Woo! I've been through a lot here today in this forest with this green man.
Okay, please bring our scene to an end as you draw the sword Soleus, the sword that brings light when it is dark from the ancient tree.
Ooh, in this moment, so I'm down on one knee, having been sliced a bunch of times, which I didn't enjoy, and then I pray and reach up over my head, grab the hilt of the sword without looking, and bring it down in front of me to block his next blow. And sort of, it catches one beam of light that is trickled down through the leaves and like scatters that light all around the area.
The last thing the creature says, I bid you good luck, fair knight, for you will need it in the battles to come. And it clips back, it simply stops attacking you, walks, sort of circles backwards, and walks into the shadows. And as you look at it, it's not that it walks deeper into the forest, it stretches up and becomes like a 6-leaved tree. With that in mind, we get into our next stage. So the next stage of the fief phase is our glory phase. What we're going to do is at the midwinter feast at the end of this year, we're all going to attend the Countess Ennefin's feast. And at the end of it, we're all going to cheer each other's various activities and gain great glory for ourselves. Everyone begins with 5 glory. And the more glory that you gain, the more stories are told about your character after they die. Because if we played the whole campaign, you have about 10 sessions, and then you retire your knight and play your own heir. At the great feast, and I want you to imagine wagons filled with firewood, a huge hall with braziers on the side, a cooking pit right in the middle, turning with a great stag that Knight Letice has provided for the table, obviously, as the Countess's chief hunter. The great high table with the Countess. She has informed you earlier that she would have invited you to the high table, but in the interests of maintaining secrecy, she does not want to show you any favor that might be seen as suspicious. And so you are sitting with each other on one of the long tables, leaving alone, looking at all of the entertainment as the hundreds of other knights under the Countess Ennefin here are eating. There's the greatest entertainer of all, the guy who paints himself. He takes off all of his clothes, he paints himself completely blue, and then with an inflated animal bladder, hits himself in the head with it and does flips and stuff. And everybody's loving it. Do you guys love the blue guy? You all love the blue guy, right?
Blue guy's the best.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's not a green guy. I still have a little bit of trauma.
Yeah. So the very first thing that's going to happen after you've all drunk heaps of ale and wine and all that is that you obviously get into a dance. And the dance that we're going to have here is the Estampede, which is a lively dance set to wild instrumental music. There's musicians shredding on the flute, and there's lots of patterned footsteps. And this one is all done in large groups of people, as you also kind of simultaneous like group dance battle the other groups as you're doing your steps with each other. So who wants to fully engage in this and see if they can win themselves some great glory and respect on the dance floor? This would be a prowess roll.
I think that I'm a dancer. That's how all of the pent-up anxiety gets released.
Roll me a prowess roll, everyone, to see how well you go.
Barely a success. I hit 12 exactly.
Oh, great. How good is this? Oh. With your great success, a middle-aged married woman catches your eyes, Knight Tervain, and sort of makes an indication up to the upper chambers if you wish to come after the dance. How did you go, Knight Letice?
I am going to roll this, although my prowess is 8, so we're going to see, but Kerfler does like a dance, so...
You're braver than me.
You and your wife dance?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, yep.
Gotta show off all of the
Mhm.
like the fancy new clothes and make sure that everybody
yes.
knows that she's properly taken care of. Oh my god, I got a 2.
Oh.
The
How
dice
good is
love
this
me
good?
today. I am
Oh.
immediately as I say that, I'm gonna like fail the next roll. But like
Your wife.
it's all curveball though. Like I have 2 left
What?
feet, it's all curveball.
While you have spoken to each other many times, you have been betrothed for a while, you've been married, and you've done the regular travel between your things. It hasn't been until this very moment that you've really felt a bit of a real connection rather than anything just, practical about it. But the two, you and your wife, if you want, your eyes meet and there's just that little bit of a spark that just starts to happen between the two of you in married and so rare in
Spark
married
in your
life.
bright eyes.
Spark in your bright eyes, the spark in hers, and good luck. 5 and a 6, and I rolled a 5. If you care to, she reveals to you later on that night that she is with child.
Heir taken care of.
Yeah, nice.
Glorious news.
And so, Caradoc, do you dance or do you not dance?
I don't dance. I've been rolling so badly. I'm not about to tempt an 8 with my prowess. No! He stands looking brooding and muscular in the corner.
Do you wield Soleus?
Oh, absolutely. I think Soleus is at my hip always now.
There is one last part of the feast, and it goes like this. Everybody here celebrates somebody else at the table. So you'll think of something their character has done. You will say something really good about them as if we're having a toast at this very feast, and then we'll all say huzzah as loudly as we possibly can.
So Caradoc basically gets up, 1 foot is on the bench, 1 foot is on the table. He's holding a goblet, and he says, "A toast to Knight Tervain, whose generosity of spirit, whose kind-hearted ways saved the life of their cousin Pericad, who otherwise would surely have perished."
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
So I'm going to, as soon as Caradoc sits down, get up, sort of similar position, standing like 1 foot on the chair, mug raised high. And to Sir Caradoc, who held off the foe, that the others of us might allow the escape of the cousin, bravely without arms or armor, put themselves in the way of danger.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Knight Tervain is going to get up and throw the cloak over his shoulder. A toast to Knight Letice, whose quick thinking back in our captivity caused the perfect distraction to let everyone escape without major harm through the stampede of horses, escaping the vile forces of Bicor. Huzzah!
Huzzah! Huzzah! Then to finish the game, we will have 3 cheers to Astolat, to Avalon, and to victory. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Huzzah!